Hi, this is Alexandra here, and I am with a special guest. This is Dale. He lives here in Kelowna. He is a professional event planner and a college instructor. Most importantly, he is a father to three amazing young kids under the age of 3, and he's a stay-at-home dad. Welcome, Dale.
Thank you.
So, Dale, tell me a little bit about your kids.
My kids. So you've already said I have 3 kids, all under the age of 3. My oldest is 3, and then I have a set of twins. And the twins just turned 2 a couple weeks ago.
So you are a father and you are a stay-at-home dad. Was this by choice? This is not very common.
That's right.
That's why I'm asking.
That's right. It isn't very common. I think more and more it is becoming a bit more common. A bit more dads are doing it. But no, you're absolutely correct. And no, it wasn't by choice. Because it was so overwhelming with all of a sudden having 3 kids. And so my wife had her hands full with dealing with the kids. I was working, I owned my own business and was working outside of the home. My wife needed just so much support, and we didn't have it. We just didn't have the support she needed. We don't have family around here anywhere close, not even within driving distance. So the closest family we have is still like 2 flights away. And she just needed help. And especially when the twins arrived, she actually fell into a postpartum depression, a quite serious postpartum depression. Just struggled to make it through the end of the day, each and every day. After a few months, we had a very serious conversation, and she said, I'm just not coping. I just can't do this. She kind of self-diagnosed, and she said, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think the solution would be if I got away from the kids and went back to work. I would become a happier person. The kids would be happier. I think everybody would be happier if this situation were to occur. And so we had a very serious conversation saying, okay, what does that look like though? Because I'm working, you're at home right now, you don't have a job right now, and you want to do this switch. And it really boiled down to, we had 2 options. Is either we hire a live-in nanny, and we both continue working, I continue working, my wife gets a job, and then this live-in nanny raises our kids, or I become the stay-at-home parent, stay-at-home dad, and raise our own kids. And so then we put in the finances into the mix, and we realized that one of our salaries would be going to pay this nanny anyway, and so it didn't make sense why one of us would be working to pay another person to raise our kids. And then the decision was kind of easy, was that I would just stay at home and that I would raise the kids. So, and I started playing with Mega Bloks and watching Paw Patrol and totally change of lifestyle. And
Well, I definitely salute you. This is not very common. Sadly enough, our overall society is still very much a mother is staying at home with kids and the dad is working. And you were very brave.
Yes.
Did you get any support from around, any community support?
The support was hard to come by, actually. I struggled with a lot of things going into the role. Something that I was silently struggling with was I too was struggling with depression. And men struggle with it too, and people don't talk about it. It's not called postpartum depression, it's called parental postpartum depression, is the form that, or the term that men struggle with. And nobody talks about it. Well, I shouldn't say there's no support for it, but it's tough to find support for men going through a postpartum depression. I was struggling with that myself, and it was tough to make this change with my family, and I was scared because my wife was struggling with postpartum, and that's why she was going back to work to get away from the kids. I was silently struggling with it, even though I wasn't with the kids near as much as she was, and now I was going into the situation. And so that was the first struggle. And so there would be nights where I'd be rocking my children to sleep, crying because I didn't really want to be in that situation, and I was struggling with why I was in the situation. And both my wife and I are very open about that. And we tell people that we never planned to have twins, and they were a big cause of the change and how the dynamic in our family really got out of control almost for a little while, because we're outnumbered, right? A lot of people don't realize that, but having 3 little kids under the age of 2 at the time, now under 3, they outnumber us as parents. Well, it's 2 to 3, and so the kids are winning if it's by pure numbers.
Yeah, I can definitely sense that. I do have one son only. He's 2.5, and the first year was really hard. And now it's a different challenge, but nevertheless, it's a challenge every day. But did you find any support from the community,
Yes.
any moms groups, or
Oh yeah.
I shouldn't be saying moms groups,
No.
parent groups?
No, that's perfect that you did say that, because there are moms groups. There are lots of moms groups. If you go into social media, Facebook has, I want to say, hundreds of moms
Yes,
groups.
I'm personally a member of 50 or more.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I don't think I'm exaggerating when I'm saying there's hundreds of moms groups. But now, if you've got some time, why don't you go look for the dads groups? I challenge you to go look up how many dads groups are on Facebook. It'll be a single digit. There won't be even more than 10. You're not going to find the same support. And if you do go into those groups, so there is a group. There's one group for dads here in Kelowna, and so I joined it. And when I joined it, the last post was over a year ago. Right, so it wasn't active. It was there, but nobody was
How
saying
many
anything.
members were there?
Around 90, maybe.
90?
Yeah.
Still a good number.
It's a key number.
Yeah.
Again, when you look at the mums groups, there's 4,000, 5,000.
The biggest one in Vancouver is 18,000 members.
18,000.
18,000,
Right.
yes, and the posts are going every day.
Yeah. Furthermore, to the mums groups, there's actual physical mums groups here in Kelowna. There's charities that work with moms, and they do a great job, but it's very exclusive. And that's what I found, is that a lot of activities, a lot of groups that are geared to moms are exclusively geared to moms. And that's okay. Once again, they're doing a great job, but not for me. I'm not welcome. I'm not allowed in. Even some parent and taught groups, even though they're labeled as parent and taught, are only really looking for moms. And if you were to arrive as a dad, you either get really weird looks, or everybody becomes very uncomfortable, or in some cases you're even asked to leave because it's not appropriate that you're there with a bunch of other moms. And so that exists in our world, and that's not right, I don't think, because our world is going to, everything in our world right now is becoming more inclusive. We're hearing about that on the news everywhere, is the inclusivity. While it's great that there are moms groups, and there's nothing wrong with that, I think a better approach would be to create parent groups and see each of us as equals. A stay-at-home mom and a stay-at-home dad, in my opinion, are equals. I don't think one has anything over the other. When I was looking to find resources for myself, or when I was thinking about what could I create or change, I didn't want to swing the pendulum right away to the other side and create this exclusive group just for dads, because then I would become part of the problem of leaving people out again. And that was my whole issue, was I was being left out, so I was looking for a group, and I just found I didn't think it was going to be the right solution to create an exclusive group and then leave others out.
That's amazing. So tell us more about Parenting101 conference that you created.
Yeah, so my wife and I came up with this idea, literally in our living room one late night. I think we were even crying because it was just so overwhelming, and it had been like a 35-hour day, it felt like. We hadn't got any sleep, and we just were desperately looking for resources. They didn't exist. My wife and I both believe in this whole be the change motto. I think it's a famous saying from Gandhi, I think, is be the change you wish to see in the world. And so while we were complaining about it doesn't exist, it's not out there, we looked at each other and said, well, why don't we change that? Why don't we do this? And so we came up with this idea of creating a parent conference. And why a conference is because typically conferences provide education, and they provide resources like that. And that's what we were looking for, is we wanted the social aspect, we wanted parent friends and people to talk to, but more than that, we wanted to know how to parent properly. How do you parent a set of twins when you've got a 20-month-old toddler in the room as well? How do you feed your kids properly? How do you get them to sleep? How do you discipline these kids? It was all the how to. How do we do some of these things? Yeah. Where do you learn from? And what we found by asking friends and talking around is that there's really two resources. Is either you talk to your parents who've done it before, or your friends, parents or friends, family, or you go into Google. You go onto the internet and you let Google raise your kids by the answer.
So you started the conference, and you had your first year last year. Mm-hmm. How did it go?
Very well. The word I keep using is phenomenal. People came up to us at the conference within 20 minutes and they wanted to shake our hand, and some people were even crying, saying, "Where has this been? This is what we've been looking for. This is what we've needed." And so right then and there, like I said, within 20 minutes, my wife and I looked at each other and said, "Hey, we found something here. We're onto something. We've done a good thing. We're helping ourselves," because a lot of it was selfish. We put together this conference. We brought in 15 different experts from, like I said, discipline to sleep training to food and nutrition to safety, all these different topics. Selfishly, we put this conference together so we could learn how to become parents and how to get the resources we needed. But we knew all along, or we hoped all along, that it would translate to other parents as well, and it did. And so when we saw these parents come up and say, "Thank you so much, we needed this," then my wife and I looked at each other and said, "Hey, we need to keep doing this." And furthermore, we've turned it into a nonprofit organization now. So we've registered it as such. We want to help families. We want to help parents. That's mothers and fathers, moms and dads. We want to be that inclusive group. And even by saying moms and dads, I'm already being exclusive, because we were amazed at some of the other people that showed up at our conference, like grandparents showed up, because they were in maybe a difficult situation where they were raising their grandkids. Guardians showed up who had just almost inherited these kids for whatever legal reasons or other. There's a lot of people raising kids that aren't necessarily mom or aren't necessarily dad, and so we want to create that organization. We have created that organization for anybody raising kids.
With creating the nonprofit organization and with running a conference, do you have a global vision for it? What it's going to be in 5 years?
Oh, I'm a big dreamer. I always dream big with everything I do. And so, absolutely, we'd love to take over the world. This is needed. And so, this problem, or this issue, doesn't just exist in Kelowna. And so we're already looking at other markets, other cities. And I don't want to get ahead of myself by naming some of them quite yet, but we have a few in mind. We have a few locations that we want to push to next. But because it's a grassroots movement, because it's just my wife and I started this, yes, we've now formed a board of directors so that we have a legal nonprofit. But still, it's still a very, very small organization. It takes resources. It takes time, resources, money to get globally. But I think this is something that might catch on.
Dale, thank you very much for sharing the story. We at HopKidz also believe that everyone should be included, everyone who is raising the kids. You could be mom, you could be dad, a grandparent, a legal guardian, an adoptive parent. You could belong to any kind of group. As long as you have a child in your care, you should be included. So we thank you for creating the movement with Parenting101 conference. And for everyone here, Parenting101 this year is happening in Kelowna. It's February 8th and the 9th, 2019. We invite you to participate and join our movement to create stronger families together by making sure everyone is included.